Mobile City Council, Tuesday, April 30th. Please stand for our invocation led by Reverend Leroy Lampkins, Berean Baptist Church, and remain standing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Morning and greetings. Let us pray. Gracious and merciful, we thank you for this opportunity once again to serve you, Father, and to serve the citizens of the city. And so, Father, we come this morning with humble hearts asking for your wisdom and your discernment, Father. Father, we're asking for the spirit of peace, reconciliation, cooperation, Father. Father, we're asking that you would give us your guidance, your wisdom. Father, we ask that you would show us how to cooperate with one another, Father. That we can become in our purpose, Father. That we would dispense justice where justice is necessary, Father, and fairness where it's required. Father, we just ask that you would bless this council, the mayor, and all the citizens of the city of Mobile, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Vice President Manzi.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves. Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Certainly glad to have all of you here. The rules of the council are as follows. We first ask that you would turn off or silence all of your electronic devices upon entering the council meeting. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in, indicating the resolution, ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, we ask that you clearly state for the record both your name and your address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on another agenda item is asked to contact the city clerk's office on the Thursday preceding the Tuesday in which you'd like to speak by 2 p.m. We require that all commentary be pertinent to the city of Mobile. Anyone who hadn't given that proper notice to the clerk's office won't be allowed to address the rest on a non-agenda item. All speakers are granted 5 minutes in which to speak. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 4 minutes. That leaves you 1 minute summarizing. At the ringing of that second bell, we ask you kindly take your seat. When addressing the council, we ask that there be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to myself, who serves as chair, and any council person who wishes to be recognized will have that opportunity. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. Those are the rules for a particular council meeting, and we're certainly appreciative of your interest in your municipal government. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes of April 23rd.
So move.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Our minutes are approved. Great job as always.
Communications from the mayor.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody doing well this morning?
Yes, sir.
So first I'd call upon Chief C to make the presentation for Firefighter of the Month. Chief?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to recognize Captain Tim Spurka as our Firefighter of the Month for the month of April. I'll read the statement. Captain Timothy Spurka has exhibited excellence in his 17-year career with the MFRD. As a captain on a hazmat unit, Captain Spurka has consistently exemplified the core values of the department. In the past several months, Captain Spurka has taken great pride in the remodeling of our fire stations. As a painter by trade, he has used his commercial equipment to help repaint Station 7, the engine bay at Station 19, and the entire ceiling in the dormitory at Central Fire Station. All these employees assigned to Station 7, crews at 19 and Central requested essentials, and he eagerly accepted that challenge. Words and awards cannot adequately represent the appreciation of the City of Mobile, the Mobile Fire Rescue Department. We certainly appreciate his efforts in helping us better our department, our station. So, Firefighter of the Month, Tim Spurka.
Yes.
Also, I would like to take just a minute to recognize a few of our members of our Public Works Department for our assistance in the fire. Tom Babb, Matthew Mahoney, and Marvin Crockett. Did you guys come down? Earlier, I don't know if it was this month, I think it was earlier this month, we had the Red Dot Storage Facility fire outside the city right there in Theodore. And that building is a facility. It's a metal building with limited access, and so you can't get into it. It's very small cubicles, maybe 100 of them inside there. They're all on fire. And so our crews were having a very difficult time accessing the fire to put it out. Very dangerous. The locks are situated so that you have to go down a corridor to enter each one of these facilities, small rooms, and the locks are such that you can't use bolt cutters, and the oxygen levels were too low for us to use our power saws to cut into it. So we called John Peavy of Public Works, and he sent these guys out that saved the day. They brought their mini excavators out and were able to peel the metal back as our crews worked alongside of them, protecting them and putting out the fires as they exposed the fire. So that thing could have been very dangerous and long-term event. So we want to thank them for their service. We got excellent results. I actually think Tom had a little bit too much fun. He was smiling ear for ear tearing that place apart.
Situation with this fire, the reason these guys were called in, they could not even crank up the saw to cut the door because there was no oxygen in the confined space. It's not often that you hear of that, but you have a situation that's hot. That's what our firefighters have to do. These guys are able to go in and create a situation to help protect our firefighters while they did what they did to open it up. So that's really big. Thank you. Appreciate it.
One more note I'd like to make to let you council know that facility is in the area that's covered by Theodore Fire, that we pulled back primary response, so it's mutual aid. And so I want to reiterate the fact, and that's a proven fact, that we still respond out there and help them when they call us. Not only as the fire department, but Public Works, as a city, we went out there and helped them take care of it when they had that need. So, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
About the facility? Did it make code today?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure about the new code to be adopted. If it would be, I would strongly push for suppression systems in those facilities because of the nature of the fires that
Right.
can be in there. So I would strongly push for that. I
Yeah.
haven't read the new code that's coming out, so that we're getting ready to adopt, but I certainly hope it's in there.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, the next, I have a proclamation to read regarding the Mobile Bar Association. Is Ann Sermon present? And if she's not, I'll just go ahead and I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Mobile Bar Association was incorporated in April of 1869 with 32 members who paid collateral to start the organization, and whereas the Bar of Mobile, one of the oldest bar associations in the United States with more than 1,000 members, and the law library. And whereas the Mobile Bar aims to cultivate friendly discourse among members of the bar, and whereas April 2019 marks 150 years of pursuit of the goal to elevate the legal profession in Mobile to the highest possible standard, providing professional development and networking opportunities. Now, therefore, I, William S. Stimson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, congratulate the Mobile Bar Association on the occasion of its 150th anniversary done in the City of Mobile this 30th day of April. Congratulations to the bar. The only attorney, a former attorney that I know that's present is Paul Wesch, so I'll give it to Paul. Maybe Joel Days. Okay. Couple of items. This past, well, yesterday, a contingent of about 25 Mobilians, many representing Mardi Gras organizations, along with Councilor Fred Richardson, John Williams, Gina Gregory, myself, Paul Wesch, and George Town, went to New Orleans to look at a facility that could be used on an interim basis to hold larger Mardi Gras balls. You know, it's inevitable at some point the Civic Center will come down, and during that period when it is down and whatever's going to be put in its place, we've got to have a place to have these balls. So kind of some target dates are that we want to be prepared for the Mardi Gras of 2021 with a facility that will be able to hold Mardi Gras. The idea is that there will probably be a 3 to 4 year period that facility would be used. It turns out the most viable facility is what's called 23 East out at the Brookley Aero Complex. It's a pre-World War II warehouse. The reason we went to New Orleans was to look at a warehouse where they do similar things, where they hold Mardi Gras balls and where they build floats, and it's called Mardi Gras World. Very informative, from my perspective, a very informative trip. We saw and got a lot of ideas. At this point in time, we are collecting information from the various Mardi Gras societies about the challenges that they see and what the potential solutions to some of those challenges are. But over the next few months, we will continue to work upon the idea so that we can come up with a solution as part of the process of what will ultimately happen to the Civic Center. So all in all, a very good trip, and look forward to continuing the conversation with those involved in Mardi Gras. On another tomorrow, right, is it 1 o'clock, I think, George? The first flight, what time does the first flight take off? About 1 o'clock, first Frontier flight to Chicago. I'll be on it with my wife. We're really excited about being able to be on the first flight to Chicago. It's a big deal for Mobile, and I'm excited about going. So I hope others will be able to take that flight, spend a couple of days in Chicago, and come back home. Very important that we make Frontier, we do our part to make Frontier successful in that endeavor. One of the items on today's agenda, which is exciting, is the Gotcha Bicycle contract. I know there's a conversation from the City Council regarding that, but that's an exciting kind of void that we need to fill, and I think Gotcha's got the answer for that. The last thing I will say is that there's a lot of conversation in the state legislature about a tax called the SSUT tax. That's the acronym for it. But the House bill number is 418. It'll have a very negative impact upon the city of Mobile. Our city council has written a letter to our state legislators about the negative impact. And so we will continue to lobby to make sure that that we're protected and that they don't pass legislation that would adversely affect us. So thank you to the city council for weighing in on that. So I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we would move with the adoption agenda, I want to recognize some special guests that we have here today from the heart of District 2. Student council members and the student council advisors from the Lankoff Elementary School. So I'm going to ask all of them to stand. They came at 9:30 and took a tour, I believe, of the 9th floor. We have with us today Miss Miranda Scorver, who's a 4th grade teacher there at Lankoff, and also Mrs. Leah Denson, a third grade teacher there at Line Call. And if you could identify your officers for us, it would certainly be appreciated. All right, Mr. Scott, raise your hand, Mr. President. All right. Ms. Brown? All right, Ms. Brown? Ms. Scott, all right. That's great.
You want to come up and do a picture? Let them stand on the front row.
Sure.
Yeah, come-
Let's come and have a picture
That way they can just stand in the
with
front and we'll-
these great future leaders. A lot of us got our start on the student. Yeah, they can
Yeah,
stand
they
in the
can just come
front.
right here because there's such a nice group.
Huh? Sure, I don't, either way. Just get the picture.
Okay, you can tuck in,
Now, where's the president and the vice president? I want y'all right here.
come on through. Yeah.
Y'all
See if
can
you
come
can
down here
kinda-
too. I'm not gonna
This
bite.
end,
Come on down.
yeah. Kind of tuck in between.
Get a
Where's-
couple down here
Where's the
Mr. Scott?
to make sure.
You coming up there?
Far enough.
Come on up, Mr.
Can you
Man.
get far enough back to get everybody
Come
in
on.
like this?
Pardon me. Let me get the president.
Like a
right
real
here.
wide angle? 'Cause I just thought it would
Congratulations,
be
Mr.
easier.
President. Now, here.
Yeah.
Wait. Move over that way a little bit.
Please, are you directing? Okay, yes, that's good.
Okay.
All right, one, two, three. And then let me get that picture with your. Thank you so much.
All right. All right.
Adoption of the agenda?
Second?
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The agenda's adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of this ordinance on May the 9th at Cooper Riverside Park, May 18th on Wyattwood Lane, May 4th on St. Anthony Street, July 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th on Burtonwood Drive, and June the 8th on Spring Hill Avenue. May 11th on LaSure Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Today's appeal of Kenneth O'Hanlon concerning the Architectural Review Board's denial of the application for a stained wooden fence 7 feet in height at 52 South Julia Street.
Is there anyone here that would like to offer any commentary with this?
There it is.
Come on down.
Mr. O. Hanlon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to take a couple, well, they're all the same pictures. There's
If you
like
could give them to the
there's like
plan,
4 or
please.
5 of them. It's like, you could, all see them.
We need, and if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Hey, my name is Kenneth O'Hanlon, and I live at 52 South Julia Street, Mobile, Alabama. That picture is of a fence that belongs to my next door neighbor. I took that picture just 2 days ago, and that's him in the picture. That fence is every bit of 8 feet tall. Not complaining about it, just stating that it's every bit of 8 feet tall.
Could you speak in the mic, please, Mr. O'Hanlon?
Okay. That picture is of a fence that belongs to my next door neighbor. I took it 2 days ago, and that fence every bit of 8 feet tall, maybe a couple inches over. It's fine with me, I really don't care. Now, that gentleman lives in a large house, tall house, and perhaps that's why his fence got to be 8 feet, because it was in proportion to the size of his house. I live next door to him. I actually live in a slightly larger house, slightly taller house, and I'm looking for a shorter fence. I only want 7 feet. That's it.
Any questions for Mr. O'Hanlon? So I guess, and I asked this in pre-council, and I'm gonna ask you, Mr. O'Hanlon. Is there any particular reason, other than your neighbor having this fence, is there any particular reason why the prescribed size of the fence, I think it's 6 feet, would not be sufficient for your property?
Well, like I was saying, my house is a really decent size, and it's a tall house. And a 7-foot fence would very easily be appropriate to that house. Not to mention that my neighbor's got an 8-foot fence, and he's a little smaller than me, but we are probably the 2 largest houses on the block, even for blocks around. Now,
So essentially, the only reason you want the 7 feet of
oh,
fence...
why I want the fence?
Right.
Okay. There are 2 reasons why I want this fence, and I think they're both equally important. I don't want to say the first one, I think that's the most important, the second one being the second most important, but they're both equally important. And that is, live down in West Mobile, you live on a slab, and your house is housed on it. Well, when you live downtown, most all of the houses are up on piers, so you're taller up. And when you walk out your back door onto your porch, and it's probably 2 or 3 feet tall, you can see over a 6-foot fence without blinking an eyelash. I can see everybody's business all the way up and down the street in their backyards. Not that I care, but you can see it very easily, because you got to take that 2 or 3 feet of porch height and subtract it from the 6, and boom, you're looking over the top of everybody. No problem at all. The second reason, and I hate to even say it, is crime. I mean, I've got surveillance cameras. A lot of people downtown have got surveillance cameras. And these guys, they just go hopping from fence to fence to fence, going through backyards. And I've had the police come down, take a look at my surveillance cameras, get nice pictures of these guys. They say, oh, we'll find them, but let me tell you what's going to happen. Well, what's going to happen? He says, well, because it's not a violent crime, like domestic violence or murder or something like that, I'm not really going to do anything. There's no room in jail for any of these guys. Nothing's going to happen. But we'll go get them. Well, I think I'd rather just try and keep them out of my yard.
Any further questions for Mr. O'Hanlon? Anything, was that the first bell? Anything else you'd like to offer, Mr. O'Hanlon?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is this the historical neighborhood?
It is, yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
No more questions?
Right.
Okay. Go home. You don't?
No, you need to stay. It might be some further questions.
Okay.
After we hear from the representatives from the ARB.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Florence Kessler, City Attorney. The property at issue is located in the Old Dauphin Way Historic District. It is subject to the jurisdiction of the Architectural Review Board, which has the mission of maintaining the historic character of the neighborhoods. As part of its mission and under the authority granted by the council, the Architectural Review Board adopted design review guidelines which address a number of exterior qualities of construction to maintain the historic character of the neighborhoods. One of those features is the height of fences, and the design review guidelines set the maximum height fence at 7 feet. At 6 feet, excuse me. Mr. O'Hanlon has asked to construct his fence at 7 feet, and he has been repeatedly denied. He's well aware of the design review guidelines. As to his neighbor's fence, this is not anything that he mentioned in the Architectural Review Board, and this is the first time I'm seeing that. Don't know. I mean, I can't address that because I have no prior knowledge of that, and the Architectural Review Board doesn't either. But that's pretty simple. The maximum height for fence is 6 feet, and Mr. O'Hanlon's been advised repeatedly 7 feet is not permissible, 6 feet would be fine.
I have a question.
Daves?
Ms. Kessler, as far as I'm concerned, I generally want to give great discretion to boards like the Architectural Review. And the only thing that concerns me about this one is that 8-foot fence that Mr. O'Hanlon has given us a photo of him next to. And so, if we're going to have rules, they need to apply to everybody, and so I'm kind of curious as to what action this might take to address this fence, which apparently clearly violates the rules of the historic district.
Would you like to address that?
Yes, please. Paige Lark, City of Mobile Historic Development. We're going to get a zoning technician to go out there, and we're going to get the property address from Mr. O'Hanlon so that we can also check our records. From what I know, we have not approved an 8-foot fence unless it abuts a commercial or multifamily property. And so as far as when these design review guidelines got adopted in May of 2016.
So
So-
would that have been grandfathered?
Yeah, could the fence Mr. O'Hanlon shows a picture of been legally erected prior to 2016?
I would have to check the previous design review guidelines, and I don't, off the top of my head, I don't believe so. So we're going to get a zoning technician out there and see what we can figure
Well,
out.
in either case, your intention is to either satisfy yourself that it's grandfathered, or if not, take some enforcement action.
Correct.
I have a question also.
Ms. Gregory?
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you said answers my question, whether they were permitted, to build that. But since that is a lattice sort of a fence, not a privacy fence, would that make any difference anyway?
They would have to, the course of action would be, if it wasn't technically grandfathered in, they would receive a notice violation. They would have to get in contact with our office and the zoning office as well. And typically the way it works is staff can't approve that if it doesn't abut a commercial property or
Okay.
multifamily. So then it would have to go before the Architectural Review Board, and then they would have the discretion to make that decision.
So it doesn't matter if it's lattice or a true privacy fence, it's still basically a structure providing some sort of privacy. Well, that was probably there, or they just didn't know to get a permit, one of the two.
And that
Yeah, yeah.
happens, and usually we can rectify those situations in the
Right.
office and not even have to involve the Architectural Review Board.
Well, one other thing that came to mind, too, we were talking about, or Mr. Hanlon mentioned that homes downtown like that are on piers, whereas West Mobile, of course, a little bit lower. Would there be any option down the road, perhaps, to look at that fact that with homes on piers probably could use fences that are a little higher than 6 feet in order to do what needs to be done with a fence in the first place?
This is, the design review guidelines where a national consultant came in that has done this in several other historic districts, but I don't think that would be out of the question. That would be something that the Architectural Review Board itself would have to review, and perhaps there could be some kind of more or less happy medium where, instead of having a full solid fence up to 8 feet, possibly some lattice on the top. Might have to be a different design. Something that didn't seem, 8 feet is as tall as the ceiling in most, a lot of houses built. And so it kind of starts to look like a wall when you get up there.
Yeah, I was just thinking if a house is on piers, though, it already starts up higher.
Right.
Then traditional homes where a 6-foot fence would be perfectly adequate.
Right.
You know.
If I may add, the standard for review on appeal to the city council is that the appeal is determined solely on the question of whether the board, in rendering its decision, acted beyond limits of its powers or abused its discretion. The board enforced its properly adopted design review guidelines, and its decision should be upheld, which would mean that the appeal should be denied. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Richardson?
Is the fence in question already erected?
No.
Or he wants to erect?
Right.
Okay. I would say the decision would be arbitrary and capricious if you're gonna leave an 8-foot fence up and tell him he got to go down to 6. So, it's, I think we need to see what they're gonna do about this tall fence, because it's not treating him the same. I mean, I wanna know what's gonna happen to this 8-foot fence.
And see, and that was information that we were not privy to in our pre-council meeting. He had a neighbor that has an 8 feet of fence right next to him. And it's clear, it's to be 8, I mean, as tall as he is, he's got his hands outstretched, and it still goes up a good ways. So, yes, ma'am.
If I may, this picture was not provided to the ARB. I can give the council the comparables that the ARB considered, and Mr. O'Hanlon did not say anything about it. As Ms. Lark mentioned, there is an exception for circumstances for a higher fence. We don't know where this fence is.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. The city has, through the guidance of the ARB rules and regulations, if they get wind of something that is out of compliance, then you work with the resident. And there is a history where people have placed something unknown, but they do come into compliance. It's not an excuse, because if we start that process, then people will, who want higher fences will just say, well, I put it here, and it's already in place. But you have a history of, even the violation is something tangible, still enforce the rules, correct?
we
And
have
residents have complied.
The current process is that we receive a service request order and we follow up on that. So if we get people calling our office, making, complaints or giving us notice, we ask them to please follow up with 311 and put in a service request order. And that way we can track either the stop work order that we send out or notice of violation and how we follow up on that.
Right, but the issue before us is, what did the board just enact? What was the rules and regulations for fencing? You didn't know about the other. You don't have a history on the other. And just because that is up doesn't make it that we can start giving all these, violations as agreed upon because somebody constructed it.
Right, and as soon as we can get the address from Mr. O'Hanlon, we'll follow up on that.
Well, in light of that, colleagues, I'd ask that we lay this item over for about a period of 3 weeks. Let's give the representatives of the ARB time to do the history and verify this. This may be something for some minds. We don't know. I'm not questioning your integrity, Mr. O'Hanlon, but this wall could be next to his house, it could be down the street from his house. Right now, we don't know, because this is the first time we've heard anything about the wall. If I had to vote today, this is a compelling argument. And so if we could lay this particular item over for a period of 3 weeks, is that sufficient for you all to do?
Yeah, we can follow up and see. It is a process, so we can certainly start the process of finding out the address, reaching out to the owner, looking in the file to see if there's any basis.
Well, do you need more time?
It kind of all depends on how quickly the owner follows up with us, and so there's kind of different factors involved.
That's not before us today.
I understand what's before us, Mrs. Rich.
I'd personally like to have more information on the 8-foot wall before we act. Was it grandfathered? If not, is there some enforcement action the city intends to take? But again, I go back and I think what is concerning some of the members of the council is we want to treat everybody fairly in a non-discriminatory manner. And if he has a neighbor with an 8-foot wall, it's kind of hard to deny him a 7-foot wall, unless the city's going to take some action or there's some grandfathering that we can't get to the 8-foot wall. So I'd just like to know more about the 8-foot wall and what action can be taken before voting on this.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Richardson?
I move we lay this item over for 3 weeks.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and second. We lay this item over for a period of 3 weeks. All in favor? Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The item is laid over for a period of 3 weeks. And we look forward to getting any information, supplementary information we might receive from you all relative to this other item that Mr. O'Hanlon has brought to our attention. Thank you.
Okay.
Appeal of Mike Rogers, Porch Light LLC concerning the ARB's denial of the application regarding new construction at 405 Chatham Street.
Move delay over 2 weeks.
Second.
Isn't that what you?
Properly motion second to lay over 2 weeks. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? This item is laid over 2 weeks.
Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to consider approval of the application of Wayne McCaffin and Michael Martin doing business as Port City Pedicab for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a pedicab service.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this particular public hearing? So we ask that you come to the podium.
Yeah, I'm Mike Martin. I'm 8331 Holloway Drive North. I was here just to let you know if you had any questions about the pedicab. We've been pedicabbing for 2.5 years. The other company made an announcement on Facebook about a month ago that they were going out of business. So we want to just continue that. We have a lot of customers that ride with us. I know, Mayor, you've ridden with us. So I'm just here to answer any questions if you have any. It's just basically going to be what we've been doing before, just continuing on. So.
Any questions of Mr. Martin?
No.
Hey, keep it going.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thanks
Yes,
for your
sir.
time.
Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to rezone property located at 4059 Halls Mill Road, south side of Halls Mill Road, 325 feet east of Azalea Road, B1 to I1.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to determine if the structures at 1915 St. Stephen's Road, 1330 Stewart Road, and 405 Flint Street are public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak to one of these public hearings? If not, the public hearings are closed.
Presentations and other communications to the council. Tanya Frazier.
Ms. Tanya Frazier doesn't appear to be here.
Dr. Raul Richardson.
Dr. Raul Richardson, are
He's
you
here.
here, Dr.
He's
Richardson? Come on up, Dr. Richardson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Raul Richardson, 650 Clinic Drive, Mobile, Alabama, 36608. I'm here once again to tell you guys about an exciting event that I have coming up this Sunday, otherwise known as Cinco de Mayo. We're calling it the Mobile River Food and Music Festival to benefit A Servant's Love. A Servant's is a nonprofit for which I serve on the board of directors, which provides income-challenged senior citizens nutritious meals and fresh groceries every month, just prior to their income being running out. so that they don't find themselves having to resort to other means to be able to find nutritious food. We also provide a senior nutrition and wellness program, which provides for low sodium, low sugar products that are in conjunction and compliance with whatever their physicians may provide for them or advocate for them. We grow our own fresh fruits, vegetables, and crops, for which we've seen a real big harvest as a result of implementation of bee colonies that we put on the property that was given to us by Dayspring Baptist Church. Subsequently, the nonprofit has been able to benefit from the sale of all of that honey to the tune of several cases a couple of times a year, which has been a real boon, as well as increased crop yield and production. This weekend, we're going to be having the Mobile River Food and Music Festival, for which I have provided, I think, digitally to all of the council members and the mayor information about this week's event. This is our signature event for fundraising for A Serve Love. And we're going to have performing at the Cooper Riverside Park venue, starting the gate at noon on Sunday. And we do have a rain alternative in the event that we have some sudden inclement weather present itself, where we've actually secured the History Museum, which of course is right across the street from Cooper Riverside Park. We're going to have our own studio jazz band, which is a middle school and high school students from across Baldwin County, Mobile County, and we even have a musician that's coming as far as from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. That's a part of our studio jazz band, which really largely represents students that many of you have in your districts. In addition to that, we're going to have University of Mobile, So Free, performing, and then we're going to follow that up with Yo Jonesy, who will be delivering the musical entertainment, and closing the evening out with Roman Street. So we're very excited about all of this. And in terms of food, we have tickets available right now for those people that didn't sound of my voice that want those tickets. Otherwise, you can visit us on our Mobile River Food and Music Festival page, Facebook, as well as a Servants Love Facebook page. We have fooders, since it is Cinco de Mayo. We're going to have Villa Rey, who's obviously a Mexican restaurant here in town. We're going to have Frios, providing some cold libation, snow cones and things of that sort. And we've got the well-known chef Cecil Morris from the Salvation Army providing some of the food, and a Taste to Remember bakery. Now, a Taste to Remember bakery is particularly significant because last year the woman who's the proprietor of a Taste to Remember actually won Chocolatier of the Year here in Mobile, so she has outstanding treats. I'm particularly fond of her angel food cake, which I try to resist all temptation for, but nevertheless. And then we're going to have Time to Eat, which many of you may be familiar with, and we're going to have a Barbecue Blues restaurant providing the food for the guests that attend the program. And for the VIP experience, which of course all of you are VIPs, you're certainly going to want the VIP experience, which we're going to have our own Alec Naaman providing all the food and libation, as well as special gifts for the VIPs and certain other cold beverages that might be desirous of the VIP constituency. So I want to thank our sponsors, which include Greater Mobile Urgent Care, Shore Acres Plant Farm, Community Insurance Partners, Solenis, and the REM Animal Clinic. So I have for you each that which you already received digitally. And for the mayor as well. I'll just hand this off to the clerk, and she can disseminate to all of you, and then you guys can consider what is it that you'd like to do in terms of attendance or contacting us. And this one's for the mayor. Chief. I appreciate your time. Please come out and support us. We're doing everything we can to increase the activity that's going to be going on downtown Mobile, getting people to come into wonderful venues we have down there and enjoy all that Mobile has planned. I know all of you would support all of that. And if you decide to get some tickets, please let me know before I leave your wonderful building, and I have them in my bag. And if not, all of you know my number. You can certainly reach out to me, and I'll be glad to provide them to you, as well as any other questions. Any questions that I can provide?
Any questions of Dr. Richardson?
I will apologize for being out of town. My son's playing baseball in the building.
I hope he is successful, but you certainly can send a proxy in your place. All right, anything else?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Adrenia Bush.
Ms. Bush doesn't appear to be here.
Eddie Irby.
Morning.
Good morning.
Eddie Irby, 1116 Richard Road, Mobile 36618. And if I might, before I start in here, to publicly thank the mayor for Mr. Snowden out to represent the city. He got to ride with some very famous Buffalo soldiers and some of George Patton men and take pictures. So thank you for sending somebody in your place. Also, the Major Williams here for being our speaker. Councilman Small here, who helped us put the program together with his donation. So we certainly had a humongous time out there, very good time. We had it set up for 200 people. We had twice as many. So, but I'd like to, we have one major problem here. When I leave here, and I apologize for leaving right after this, but I have to meet some people with some very heavy equipment we're about to bring into Oakland, and we're going to have a meeting at True Vine Church at 6 o'clock. Man, we'll get that information to you later on. But right now, I'd like to take 1 minute just to read something, because normally I have everything up here. This I want to read. On March 28th and 29th, 2019, I called 311 number to complain about an oversized truck parked on Euclid Street. We requested that the city notify the owner to have the truck moved in the residence yard or some other location before April 17th. As we were a large number of vehicles using that street to get into our dedication program to be held at historic Oakland Park. The owner complied. But I also complained about the corner of Holt Road and Cemetery Lane. That corner is one of the most dangerous corners in Mobile. One cannot see the oncoming traffic until after you have already turned the corner. That corner has already been there long before we got in our efforts, and the residents has complained constantly to no avail. 2 hours after I called and got an SRO number, they called me back, told me they don't see any danger. That means they were looking at it from the computer and not out there like I asked them to come out there to see it. We asked them to send somebody there, we would meet them there and show them the danger. The corner of Holt Road and Cemetery Lane has a 6-foot fence there that you cannot see. It also has a street sign. There's a street sign that says Holt Road and Cemetery Lane that belongs to the city. However, this resident has put his fence around that there to enclose that also. And we also like to thank Mr. Peavy, because in spite of the weather being bad and trash being built up, those guys at Mobile Garbage and Trash have done a yeoman's job of keeping the place clean. Mr. Williams saw that when he was over there speaking. But the street has been clean, swept on a regular, continuous basis. But that corner, Mr. Manzi, somebody from the city, I know you have to put in stuff yourself, but somebody need to contact that department head and have somebody meet us out there before we get that heavy equipment in there.
Mr. Irby, before you go, do you need that paper that's in your hand?
No, sir.
You said somebody needs to contact the department head.
Yes.
There's somebody sitting right over there. Pass that to Public Safety Director Barber,
okay,
so that he can give that to Mayor Stimson. He's the CEO of the city.
Okay.
So it's not Mr. Manzi.
Okay.
It's Mr. Stimson. Pass that to the director, if you don't mind, and let Mayor Stimson do what he does quite well, which is be mayor of the city of Mobile.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you
We
very
appreciate
much.
it. We appreciate it. We had a very good time. We respect all the, and the Mobile Police Department came out and did a yeoman's job of keeping us safe and blocking off all the stuff there, and everything is going lovely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate all you do. Madam City Clerk.
Jennifer English. Jennifer's coming down regarding the noise waiver of Flambeau Hall.
I'm sorry. What?
Which one?
She's coming down
The
for
St.
the
Anthony
noise
noise waiver.
St. Anthony.
Wedding.
Good
Yes,
morning,
ma'am.
council members.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor Stimpson, but he walked out. I'm Jennifer English of 258 North Claiborne Street, Apartment F. I am proud to serve as the board secretary of the DeTonti Square Neighborhood Association. However, today I address the city council in an individual capacity. I choose to live in Detente Square because I love the energy of events, festivals, parties, and neighborhood gatherings. Anyone who chooses to purchase a home, rent an apartment, or build their business within the Hank Aaron Loop understand that revelry and celebration will be a staple of their existence. From 1065 Festival and South Sounds to Mardi Gras and Brown Bag in Bienville and church services, residents of my neighborhood hear music, people having fun, and worshiping. I am invigorated knowing my neighborhood is alive. One of the historical characteristics of Mobile is our rivalry, and it would be unfortunate to suppress that now or in the future. On Sundays, the Pentecostal Church of God on North Joachim Street is full of parishioners and singing and praising that may be heard for 2 blocks, while the apartment residents directly behind the Pentecostal church are enjoying our beautiful sunny weather with their own music around the pool, with no opposition to noise. Many residents are proud to promote Detente Square as a hip, vibrant, diverse, and lively neighborhood. I am here today to support, and I want to make sure I get this right, the noise waiver for St. Anthony.
Okay, all right.
As weddings are a joyous time for families in rejoicing a new journey. The wedding in which 2 families appeal to the city is on Saturday from 3 to 7 p.m. I'm sure the band will be of great taste, and I may be able to help jog memories of past bands the OOMs have hosted that some who now oppose the noise waiver seem to thoroughly enjoy, specifically on February 15th, 2015, and many times since. I leave the City Council with this Facebook post quote of October 29th, 2017. Oh my goodness, life is so good. The OOMs have the most wonderful big band playing, and it is wafting through our neighborhood. How lucky we are in Detente. I can lie in my bed and listen to my favorite kind of music. Fly me to the moon. I appreciate the City Council's time, and I understand that this may have been settled in pre-council, but I trust that you will have compassion for a father who wishes to give his daughter the wedding of her dreams on a Saturday from 3 to 7 p.m. I wish to submit several Facebook screenshots expressing a neighbor's excitement and the perks of the rare opportunity to live so close to the oldest Mardi Gras association in Mobile, Alabama. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. English, and it's certainly refreshing to hear this perspective, especially in this venue. I often get phone calls and Facebook messages from residents in Detente in support of what's going on here, but I appreciate you taking the time to come down and articulate these views. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I am the liaison with the board and the OOMs, and with what I understand that they're doing is new territory for them, and with a greater commitment to communication, we can all succeed in this endeavor. So there is a liaison with the board organization of Detente and the OOMs.
And I'm happy you mentioned that, because we had 3 residents here that indicated that was a void and that they were willing to serve in that capacity, but there'll be no need for that since you already have that position, and we'll work through you.
If they come to the association meetings, they would know.
Oh, thank you. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Thank you.
All right, then. Oops, there it is. Hey, thank you very much. All right.
All righty. Ordinance is held over. 88019, ordinance deeming property at 3200 Moffett Road not now needed for public or municipal purposes and authorizing the sale.
Move to hold over till June 4th.
Oh, wait.
Second.
Sorry.
Been properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item is held over.
Consent resolutions held over. 4234, declare the structure at 959 Gorgas Street a public nuisance and order it demolished.
So moved.
Properly motion second. Any discussion?
Which one is this?
Yeah, that's it.
It's a consent.
Oh, okay.
4234.
Okay.
Do we need an amendment on
And then
this?
and we need an
Okay, yeah.
We need the amendment.
Yeah, I want to make a Yeah, I would like to amend the motion to have demolish this particular property here, please,
Partially demolish, secure.
and secure.
Is there a second?
Second amendment.
There's a second to the amendment. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now go back to the item as amended. Any discussion?
Yes, Vice President.
Mr. Small?
I would like to thank Mr. David, also the administration, the mayor, and also Restore Mobile. This particular property has been on the agenda for several weeks to be destroyed and demolished. Restore Mobile decided to step up and want to go ahead and restore, or help to restore this community. So therefore, they have reached out to the city, and the city is just going to grant half of the house be demolished, but they can pretty much help to restore this neighborhood. And I do appreciate the administration, Mr. Dave, and also Restore Mobile to invest into this community. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item passes as amended.
CIP resolutions held over. 21396, authorized contract with Macquarie Williams for 2019 CIP drainage.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions held over. 21394, authorized contract with Gov Deals for surplus property online auction services. 33397, terminate the non-exclusive franchise for use of city streets, sidewalks, and rights-of-way previously granted to Neutron Holdings doing business as Line Bike. 33398, authorize a non-exclusive franchise for use of city streets, rights-of-way to Gotcha Mobility, LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Items passed.
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 64020 through 88021.
By Council Booth, these two ordinances will lay over for 1 month.
The second one is laying over longer. We need to take that one.
June 4th.
They're going to vote separate.
Okay, 88021.
We need to take separate.
Yes, oh, I see what you're saying. I'd like to suspend rules for immediate consideration of 88021.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 88021, ordinance deeming property at 105 and 107 Jefferson Street not now for public or municipal purposes and authorizing the sale.
Move to hold over to June 4.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
It's wise that we're holding this over because there is a committee that has been assigned in order to come up with a protocol and/or an ordinance for selling property that belongs to the publics, on the public side of the aisle. And even if we pick June 4th, if the ordinance, and this is why I'm asking a question of our legal counsel, if it's decided that we want a certain period of time that the property has to be publicly noticed for sale, could slide this one back into it, or would we have to be voting on it as it's given today?
Yeah, you can have some flexibility.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item is held over.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 08403 through 66416.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 08403 through 6416.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
08403, approve purchase orders for requisitions over 7,500 for the week of April 22nd, 40, 404, 405, 406 are declaring structures at 1915 St. Stephen's Road, 1330 Stewart Road, and 405 Flint Street public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 58407 and 408 are authorizing removal of weeds and assessing costs for removal of weeds. Group 1590 and 1587. 64009, approve Special bonus to firefighter of the month of the mayor's incentive program. 6410, determine expenditure of discretionary funds for contribution to the New Birth Community Church to assist in operating the Overlook Swim Club, serves a public purpose and approve payment. 40411, determine the expenditure of discretionary funds for contribution to Legacy 166, serves a public purpose and a payment. 6416, resolution opposed House Bill 418 regarding sellers, sales, and use tax.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? I do have a question. On 6416, who will this resolution be disseminated to? Just our local delegation, or is it sent to the entire Alabama House and Senate?
The resolution, sorry, the resolution specifies that it be sent to the local delegation.
I think it'd be important to let everybody that'll have an opportunity to vote know how the city of Mobile feels on this issue.
Did it make it out of committee already? Because at least the committee should get it.
But if you send it to everybody, that would include the committee, it would include the local delegation, the folks from Baldwin would know, Jefferson, Sumter County, it wouldn't matter.
City clerk tells me we can get in touch with our lobbyists and make sure it's disseminated widely.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. All right. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item pass.
CIP resolutions being introduced, 21-412 through 21-413.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 21-412 through 21-413.
Second.
Properly motion second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
21-412.
I don't think I heard, I didn't hear, did you all hear anything? I didn't hear anything.
Well, one
All
is
in-
under 50,000.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure.
All in favor?
I just want to make sure Mr. Williams was okay with 21-412.
I know you all want to
We want to do it.
avoid rules.
We want to understand.
I will tell you that we can't sometimes do it and other times just for no reason not do it because we don't feel like it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm going to come to us and
Okay.
acted arbitrarily, not the same treatment as another.
Okay.
For right now, I'd like to stick with the $50,000 VIP rule.
This is actually.
Mrs. Rich?
Yeah, I was going to say that the one that deals with Medal of Honor Park is under the 50,000. My office, and I can't speak as much to one that's 21-412, is also I imagine a district CIP, and that council person might want to talk about how long they've known about this project. I know that mine goes back to 17, and there are activities on those fields, and, you know, they're working towards utilizing the ball field, so it could hold up a week, and if that's an insistence, but I would hope on this one, being on 50,000, I could lobby all of you to allow that one to go.
It's 36,000, that's not as big as the other one is 60.
It's
Well,
21-412.
two separate ones. They're separate.
The 412 is
30.
60,000.
$60,652.
No, one is for 30,000 and one is for 29.
It's two separate,
It's two
29.
Separate, it's two separate.
It's one for 30, 716, and 129.
The total is 60.
936. The
Right.
total is 60.
Right, total is two separate.
It's two of them.
Two contracts.
I don't know.
Because they're doing the same thing.
Because they're a library, and they're the same project in the different libraries.
No, they're not the same library. It's two different.
Is that
a
paid program for you? Okay, well, mine is definitely a different one.
We need to talk about these items with the council, and I don't say it looks like that.
We were a little late this time, John, for
So
pre-council.
those, Matt, can you confirm there are two contracts?
It
There's
says,
two separate contracts?
It's one contract.
It's one
but-
contract.
One contract, two
projects.
Just two
libraries.
different libraries.
one contract, two projects.
Two separate buildings, yeah.
I know that you
Yeah.
said buildings.
Yeah.
Is this a contract for more than 50,000, or is this two contracts combined?
It's one contract.
It's one contract. Yeah.
It's one.
contract.
Yeah.
Just hold it.
It's one contract.
Yeah.
So I'll hold it.
He's gonna withhold it. We'll vote on it next week.
That's fine.
All right.
Are we okay with 21413?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams, are we okay with 21413? I
Okay.
just want to double check.
21412, lay over for 1 week. 21413, authorize record of Iker Construction Corporation for Medal of Honor Park Field and improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to verify again, and the contract is clear, that it's for the softball fields out there, which will be a great improvement.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes.
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21414 through 37715.
The council rules these resolutions will lay over for 1 week.
Announcements.
Mr. Williams?
No, thank you.
Mr. Small?
Thank you, Vice President Manzi. This past weekend was a very busy weekend, and District 3 had an opportunity to welcome the 6th Annual Great Murder Trail, which was held at Arlington Park. Great success on this past weekend. And also the Peninsula Paddle at McNally Park was also a great success this weekend. It was something to do in District 3 this weekend. I'd like to thank all the sponsors and the volunteers for a great weekend in District 3. And just remember, we have grass that is growing in our communities, especially at property or empty. Please dial 311 if you see any overgrown grass in your community. Thank you, Vice President Manzi.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Mr. Richardson?
And thank you very, very much. I would like to announce that on Friday, March 3rd, the Tobinville Crichton Community Development Corporation will hold a special unveiling of our new community welcome signs, which celebrate these two historic communities, Tobinville and Crichton. This project is a result of a partnership between this community group and the city. The event will take place at 9:30 on Mobile Street near Mill Street Park. And the public, please come out and join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Davis?
Thank you, sir. There is currently a construction project going on McGregor Avenue between Dolphin Street and Old Shell Road. This is to install sidewalks, curb, and gutter on the west side of the street. Now, we got all kinds of signs out there saying the street's closed. We got blinking electronic signs, we got stationary signs, we got barricades, all kinds of signs out there saying the street's closed to through traffic. There are workmen, that part of McGregor is a narrow street to begin with, and it's got these 90-degree turns, and we got workmen out there right now working in the curbs, installing curb and gutter, and they've got one of the lanes closed. And we're still getting a lot of through traffic on that section of McGregor Avenue. And I just want to tell everyone out there that if you don't live on that section of McGregor Avenue, or you don't live on one of the 2 or 3 cul-de-sacs that go off of that section of McGregor Avenue, you got no business being on McGregor Avenue. It's dangerous to you, it's dangerous to the residents, and it's dangerous to the people working on the street. So please observe that when it says street closed, that doesn't mean street closed for everyone but you. That means street closed for you too. And so if you don't have any business there, please don't use that street. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right. Somebody's got all riled up on that one. All right. Mrs. Rich?
Thank you very much. I just would like to announce again, and it's already gone out publicly, that the committee meeting of public services will not be meeting today at 1:30. Instead, we have switched to May 14th, which is in 2 weeks, at 1:30, same time, in the council conference room. And this is to amend the ordinance that deals with towing in our city. So I look forward to that meeting and welcome people in the industry and any interested citizen to also attend that meeting. Again, May 14th at 1:30 in the council conference room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rich. Ms. Gregory?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Davis, I'll have to tell you that on Sunday after coming home from church, we came to the intersection of McGregor, where the work is, and it says no through traffic. And my husband was saying, well, nobody's working. I said, does not matter. It says no through traffic. So we did not go through there.
Wow.
We did go through the country club area and cut through that way to get back home. But at any rate, I hear you, because I too see all the traffic going through, and you know that they don't necessarily all live in the area. Just a couple of announcements. The tire drop-off for recycling purposes last weekend went over pretty well. At Langen Park, I stopped by to see what was going on, and they already collected over 100 tires when I was there. A lot of people, as always, don't get the message, so people were coming up and asking if we're going to do it again, how long will we be there, that sort of thing. So I think going forward, we do need to schedule more of these and continue getting the word out to people that there is a place for you to come and drop off these tires, so that we don't find them on vacant lots and all along the city streets, helping to create blight in areas where you obviously should not be dumping off all these tires. But it gives people a place to bring the tires and have them properly disposed of. So thanks to Public Works for all they did and for putting the folks out there to collect these tires. They help the people who drove up to get them off their trucks, some of these really big tires from huge trucks, I guess. So again, thank you, job well done, and let's do some more of these.
Any further announcements from members of the council? Anything from the administration? If not, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.